data science space. Okay. And the biggest advantage is that now the primary language for these models is natural language. It is plain old English. In fact, even if you type something in Hindi or some other language, it will respond in that language. Okay. And we know that for simple tasks, simple instructions are sufficient. Okay. But for complex tasks, it is best to basically improve the quality of your input. Okay. We have to it has become an essential skill to learn how to communicate to a model, and not just a model. If you learn how to communicate to a model, you learn how to communicate in life in general, right? Which will be advantageous to your career as a whole as well, right? That skill is called prompt engineering. Okay. Now, many of you will struggle with one thing, which is basically what to do for getting access to multiple LLM models, right? For that, I strongly recommend something called the AI Studio from Google. Okay. All you need to do is get an API key. You can create your own API key, and you just have to name a project, right? So maybe since I have all the possible projects created, so maybe Minor Maps is a personal project that I was working on, and you can just create your API key and it will create an API key for you. Okay. Obviously, I'll be deleting that key. But yeah, now with this API key, you have the capability to access Google's, well, not the latest, but probably more, quite powerful LLM models, okay, within your local environment. Okay. So please go through aistudio.google.com. I'll send this link in the chat as well. Okay. Now, again, it's fairly simple. The UI is quite simple. All you need to do is get API key or create API key, and that is how you can create your API key. If you're working in Google Colab, the advantage of working in Google Colab is that you can access your Google AI Studio keys directly from this particular view. Okay. Okay. Now, how do we install, how do we set up, again, I'll repeat myself that you can set up your free API key for using LLMs using AI Studio provided by Google. Okay. All you need to do is go to this link and create an API key. That's it. And it will give you a API key to use really powerful, if not the latest, but really powerful LLM models for free. Okay. Now, for accessing this API key via some code, what you will have to install is something called the Google Dash Generative AI library from Python. And the way to do that is fairly simple. It's just pip3 install. -q and u are not required. They are just temporary options. What's an API key? Okay. Okay. So how many of you don't know what is an API key? Okay, good. So we know, good. I understand that a lot of us don't know that. So let me just go back. We know that many of these LLM calls are actually, just a second. Yeah, many of these LLM calls are just APIs. We know that. How many of you knew that? There's a ChatGPT API, right? There's a Google Gemini API. There's a Anthropic Claude API. Okay. Did we know this or not? Right. Now, to access this API, you need to have some sort of password. Okay. This is a password. What does API stand for? What it actually is? API is just API stands for application programming interface, right? And it is actually a way of communication. Okay. So now to do that communication, some communications require password as well, right? That is what the API key is. It's basically a password to for Google to know that this is you who's connecting to the API. This is Sampurn Ratan who's connecting to the API. This is Mukta Bejiram that's connecting to API. This is Sudhanshu Mishra that's connecting to Google, right? So this is what an API key is. Okay. Okay. Let's move ahead. Okay. So to actually access the API key via some code, what you should be doing is installing this particular library, which is the official Python way to access the Gemini API. Okay. Is that understood? Yes, no? Okay. A lot of yeses in the chat. You guys should speak out, not
Also,
just.
bada problem.
Sorry?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. We understood.
Okay. Now we will just import some modules and you will understand why we are importing those modules in a bit. But yes, we are going to import OS. Okay. We are going to import the Python library for Gemini API, and we are going to call it as our GenAI API. Okay. Then there are some tools to display the output that we are going to use. We are going to create. There's something called text wrap. It basically does. It allows you to, instead of one single line that goes out of the screen, it wraps the text of the output. That's it, right? It's a fairly simple library. And then we there's this particular format called Markdown. Okay, that is the way that most LLM APIs actually respond. How do we consume that markdown in a way that a human can consume that, right? That is what this does. Okay, and if you don't know, this is how you access, from Google Colab import user data. This is how you access any secret or any API key, right? It should not be like, since this is a password, it should not be in code. Okay, so I have put it in my notebook secrets itself. Okay, everybody understands that you should not be putting passwords in your code. Yes, no? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then there are some helper functions again just to display the output. Okay. I'm not going to talk too much about this. You guys can go understand this at a later stage when I share this notebook with you guys. Okay. Then there is something called the uh, configure Gemini helper function. What does this do? Any guesses? Okay. So we have set the API password, but have we set that, okay, I'm going to call the API? Have we done that? No, we have not done that. It is done via this particular command that I am going to call the API using this particular API password or API key. Okay, everything around that is just, supporting code. You can literally just ignore this particular code. It's This code is to get the API key from the environment, which is being stored in this particular location. Okay, this code is, if there is some issue in the API key, you can type in the API key. Okay, and this is the code that where we actually configure the API. Okay. Okay. Now we have configured the API, but have we defined which model are we going to use? Yes, no? All of us know that, sorry, sorry, Gemini models. If we search for that, there are going to be a lot of models, right? There's this model, this model, then there are a lot of variations, right? You understanding which model to use where is also a skill for a prompt engineer, okay, which we are going to talk about later. But yeah, what I'm going to do is going to take one of the free models, which is Gemini 1.5 Flash. You see that it is so old that it is deprecated now, but it is free. It's going to work for us, right? It takes audio, images, and videos and text as input and spits out text as output. Okay, is that understood? So we are still configuring what model. Over here, we are just configuring the API password. Over here, we are configuring the model that we want to use. Everything else is supporting code. Okay, understood? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yes,
will
sir.
check the code. Okay. 2.5 is free now for students. Well, I am not a student. Maybe you guys can access that. Okay. Okay. Then finally, let's come up talk about prompt engineering. You will see a lot of terms and I'll try to explain those terms. If you don't understand, please speak out. Okay. Okay. So one thing that you need to know is that a prompt is not just one simple text or one simple question, but it's a structured content which has many distinct components. Now, what are those components? Anybody wants to take a guess? What are those components? Nobody wants to take a guess. So, well, the first component is the role or the persona. Okay. So, it's okay if you don't understand it right now. We will showcase examples specifically around these components. So whether that be role-based prompting or, context-based prompting, we'll talk about each and everything. But I hope we are able to finish everything in the hour. Okay. Okay. The component defines who the model should be, right? Assigning a role, such as you are a senior technical support specialist. So we know that these models have been trained on a lot of content, right? But if you assign a role that, okay, you are a support specialist, then all of the content is now filtered, and we once we assign a role, the model is forced to filter its response through the specific lens of the role, okay, including the expertise, tone, and style. For example, we'll talk about the example in a bit, but yeah, the anybody who didn't understand this, yes, no, okay, okay, understood, okay. Then you have to provide some sort of background information for a model. It is also sometimes called as the context. Okay, so this basically provides the background for the task. Let's say you have a summarization task. You have a lot of articles you want to summarize, right? It is one of the most common projects to take up for in prompt engineering. Okay, but why do you need to summarize this? What will be the structure of the articles or the text that you get, right? What is the end goal? Why are we going to after we get the summary, what is the kind of queries the user is going to make on that summary, right? This is the background information. This will help the LLM to basically create a summary in such a way that you are able to achieve all of your end goals, right? Right? Does that make sense? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Then finally, we have the task. This is the core of the prompt. And what you need to do is, instead of saying things like, please do this, You have to literally order. You have to be very specific, very clear. You have to be very unambiguous. There should not be any confusion in the words you use, and there should be direct action verbs. Okay. Analyze, summarize, generate, classify. All of these are called direct action verbs. If your action, or sorry, if your task does not start with these direct action verbs, then your task, the sentence that you have created is not good enough for your task. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Finally, you have
Yes,
example.
sir.
We'll talk about few shot, zero shot learning as well, prompt engineering as well. But ideally, you should not be doing zero shot prompting. You should only be doing few shot prompting. So in this particular scenario, you have to manually create these examples. You have to manually provide an entire article. You have to manually create look up an entire article, copy paste it somewhere, create a summary on your own, right? The ideal kind of summary that you want. Okay. Do maybe create 2, 3 kinds of examples that showcase separate kinds of articles. Okay. And you have to manually create these, right? Something that a model does not create. Okay. And you basically add this into your prompt. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. So do you guys see what I am doing? Think that uh, I don't know if you guys have had juniors, but I have had juniors, right? In my 10 years of data science work, I have had juniors. All of these things, I say these things to my juniors as well. I provide background information to my juniors who are humans, right? Right. I provide what is the kind of role they need to take up to, for example, let's say they are going to face a customer, so they are going to be a pre-sales specialist. If they are going to lead a project, then they are going to be the tech lead. I explicitly define that this is going to be your role. This is the background information that you need. This is the task that you need to achieve, and I sit with them to showcase examples of the input and the output, right? The centerpiece of how it needs to be done, that has to be defined by the junior, right? So you're not talking to a LLM. When you're talking to an LLM, think you're talking to a junior developer, right? That is how your prompt engineering will actually improve. Okay. Then some constraints that you should not do this. If let's say you are doing a summarization of, let's say, a bad topic, right? Or a topic such as the Jallianwala Bagh is a topic that is very sensitive, right? The LLM should not put in their opinions. They should be just talking about the facts, right? Or they should, if the article contains some profanity, some abuse language, or sometimes YouTube shorts or news articles will contain some profanities or some abuse language, then the summary should not contain those, right? So these are some constraints or rules, but they are more commonly known as guardrails in business speak, right? There's literally being books being written for guardrails. It's a very massive topic on its own. Over here, we are just giving it one paragraph and one simple example. But if you dive deep into the guardrails of LLMs, so if you want to go into the depth of guardrails, you should look at top 10 LLM. So these are the kind of top 10, uh, where is it? Yeah. So prompt injection, insecure output handling, these are the kind of things that you will be working for creating guardrails. So each of these is like a book in itself. Okay. If you want to go into the depth of guardrails. Okay. Okay. Finally, what is the structure of the output? Is it a JSON? What is the format of the JSON? Is it a HTML? Is it a markdown? Is it an XML? If it is an XML, what is going to be the schema of that XML? right? If you define that, you can be sure that 99 times out of 100, your LLM will respond in that particular format as only, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, English, I am sorry, I cannot use English. I will be using English only because there are a lot of folks who don't know Hindi, right?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you summarize the components with the example, easy example?
I will be giving an example at the end of the lecture. I hope that's okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. One thing that many people miss is that you can basically add delimiters. That, you know what? I'm going to talk about the role now. So you literally write hash, 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 or equal to, and then role in capital. Then you write hash, hash, hash context. Then you write hash, hash, hash task. And then you define your task, and then you define your context, and then you define your role. Right? We will see an example of this. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about simple prompting. I call it foundational prompting. You can divide prompting into three major groups. Foundational prompting, okay, which will contain all of your few shot, one shot, zero shot prompting. You can add reason-based prompting, which will contain chain of thought, role-based prompting, right? And then finally, almost agentic prompting, not agentic prompting, almost agentic prompting. And we'll understand why I am calling this almost agentic prompting. Okay. Implementing guardrails is a kind of prompting in itself, but I don't want to call it a kind of prompting because, whatever style of prompting that you use, right? Whatever style of prompting that I'm going to teach you, a necessary component of your prompt should be a guardrail. Okay? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
People with videos on cannot sleep. Okay? Okay. Okay. So zero shot prompting is the most basic form of prompting that you use with when you are interacting with an LLM. Okay. So in this code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an example called for customer support. Okay. So for example, again, is my zoom size adequate? Do I need to increase the font size?
No, sir, it's fine. Sir.
No,
Okay.
sir.
So for example, I created a sample email. It says, "Hi team, my invoice for last month seems incorrect. Okay. The amount is higher than expected. Can you please check it?" Okay. Ideally, what should happen? Well, not ideally. Originally, what would happen is that a human has to respond to this particular email, right? But instead of that, can we build a prompt engineering solution that responds to this solution initially, at least, right? And when it is not able to answer, then a human can intervene, right? So to do that, first we need to at least classify what is the kind of problem statement this is. What is the context of the email? We need to classify. Okay. So again, notice the Python code as well. Okay. This is the Python code that you will follow throughout when you are using Gemini API. Okay. No need to pay for the OpenAI or Claude AI paid APIs. You can use Gemini's free API. Okay. Okay. So you can simply put in classify. See, even in the most simple of prompt engineering, your prompt should still, or your task should still start with a direct action verb. Remember that term, direct action verb. Okay. So classify the following customer email into one of the following categories. And then I put in some categories. To be honest, I didn't think too much about the categories, but it's this. Okay. Then if you notice what this is an F string. Do you guys know what an F string is?
Yes, sir.
Some of you may not know. So basically, I'll just put in this article link. as a comment to learn about f string. It basically allows us to put in variables within our string. Okay. Okay. So you have to start your string with an f, and whenever you are using a variable, so our customer email one was the variable name, right? We put it in curly braces. Okay, put the variable in curly braces. This implies this variable will be rendered. If it is a string, it will be rendered as a string. Okay. Now we have put in the email, and then we do the classification. So what I need to do, so I've created the prompt, right? Now I need to send this prompt along with the email content to Gemini and ask it to generate a response. Okay. So the model that we defined earlier, where is it? Yeah, model is equal to this, right? Gemini 1.5 Flash. Okay. The model that we defined earlier, on this, we call the generate content function, and we pass in the prompt. Okay. That's it. You have literally called the Gemini model in one single line of code. Okay. Then we display the response using the two markdown function that I created up here. Okay, remember the output of all models by default, of all LLM models by default, is going to be markdown. Okay, so we can just ask markdown to be converted into a human readable format, right? So output is just billing inquiry. That's it. I did not give any examples. I did not do anything. I did not assign any roles. I did not give any background context. I did not provide any constraints. I did not provide anything. Yet it was able to perform, right? Why do you think that is? Why was it able to perform? So it was able to perform because it was a simple task. Text classification is one of the simplest tasks you can ask an LLM to do, right? That is why it was able to get the correct answer, even though I did not have a really complex prompt. Does that make sense? Yes, no? Yes? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let's do few shot prompting. What is few shot prompting? Well, you provide high quality examples. Again, remember, high quality examples. Who can create these high quality examples? You will have to create these high quality examples. Nobody else is going to give these high quality examples to you. Okay. So once you have these high quality examples, you can pass them into the prompt directly. You can say this is an example. You can add a delimiter. You can say this is an example and this is the input. Okay. And this is the output JSON. Okay. So over here, is this a high quality example? This may be the first example. The first example has to be simple. The second example will be more complex. The third example would be even more complex. The fourth example will be even more complex. After 4, you should stop. Okay. Ideally, you should not go beyond 3 to 4 examples, because then the size of your prompt will become very large. Okay. Okay. So this is the first example. It is good enough. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you are basically asking it to provide the output in a particular format as well. You have defined that this is going to be a JSON format. You have defined the schema of the JSON as well, right? And you have defined you have not defined the categories and the priority, but I think we can rely on the examples to define the category and the priority. Okay. So Again, since this is an F string, we are going to just use our previous variable called customer email 1. Okay. And we just say that this is your input and this is your output. Please note that the way you provide the input and the way you provide the output has to be the same as the way you are providing the example. In the example, you are providing an input and an output, right? So for example, instead of colon, if I was doing something like this, okay, then my input output request would also be something like this, or inward, outward. I know we don't use inward and outward for input output, but let's just say for some reason you used it, right? It has to be the same. The example has to be the same as the output, input output you are finally expecting, right? And again, remember, high quality means high quality. There have to be various kinds of example, not just one simple test case. Ideally, you should have 2, 3, 4 test cases, but not beyond 4. Okay. Okay. Let me just change this. Okay. Okay. Again, all we need to do is model.generate content and pass in the prompt. It's that simple. It's literally almost as simple as using Gemini or ChatGPT, in my opinion. Okay. So this is the kind of output. Now you see that the output is formatted. The schema is being followed, and the examples helped us in getting a response in a better format. We can use many different kinds of emails to check if the examples help us, but prompt evaluation is a topic for another day. Okay, we will be talking about prompt evaluation as well someday. Okay. I think in the website there will also be a doubt. No. Will we be provided with the recorded session? Yes. Complexity of example should increase one after other. Yes, the complexity of examples and the variety of examples should increase. Okay. 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 Now we know what are one shot and what are few shots. So we have in the unified framework, I call this my unified framework. Okay. We have covered examples. Okay. Now let's add a reason to your prompts. What does that mean? What does that sentence mean? Anybody? So large language models are nothing but next word predictors at the end of the day, right? But you can enforce some sort of reasoning to be added, especially for thinking models. Do we know what is the difference between a thinking and a non-thinking model? Can anybody explain that to me?
Non-thinking models can do a specific task without actually that breaking down the concept, while thinking models need to take time and reason the concept, like the reason feature in ChatGPT. Maybe.
So for a better answer would be that, what happens what is the difference between a thinking and a non-thinking model? Both models generate some output. A thinking model will actually validate the output before sending it to you. It will literally check the output and the input and check whether the input and output are as per expectation or not. And then it will send that output to you. It's as simple as that. This is called validation, reasoning and validation. That is why it is called thinking, right? There are some models that try to plan the output as well. Okay. those are still those still lie under the category of thinking models. Can somebody name a thinking model?
Sir, ChatGPT, Gemini AI.
What variation of ChatGPT? We understand, we saw that Gemini has a lot of models, right?
4.5.
2.5 model.
Mm,
Gemini 2.5.
do you see any 2.0? GPT-4o is a thinking model, but GPT-4 is not a thinking model. 2.5
Gemini 2 Flash.
Chain of thought prompting.
Okay. So Gemini 2.5 Pro and Gemini 2.5
Flash.
Flash, 2.5 Flash have thinking.
Alpha Zero.
Okay. Yes, DeepSeek R1 is also a thinking model, but Gemini Flash Lite Preview does not have any thinking. Okay, so that is how you will have to literally understand which model is a thinking model, which model is not a thinking model. Okay, but that understanding should ideally be at your fingertips, and you shouldn't have to Google. Okay.
Sir, how to know which model is the best?
It depends on the use case, and there are something called as leaderboards. For example, there's a Hugging Face leaderboard, LLM leaderboard, where you can identify which models are best for which particular case. Okay, so there are different kinds of tasks. Okay, so for math or for multimodal understanding, which model is best? Okay.
Okay, sir.
I, for some reason, opened the archived version, but this is the one. Okay. You can compare results as well. Okay. Okay. Coming back. Okay. So role-based prompting. We already talked about what is a role. Yes, Arpit? Okay. So we already talked about what is a role. So your role should start with a you are a. So for example, over here, this is a prompt with no role. Okay. And this is a prompt with a role. But when I say role-based prompting, now you need to add a attribute. Okay. You need to add an attribute as well of the role. So for example, you are a patient and professional senior billing specialist. Okay. The role is senior billing specialist. These are basically attributes, patient and professional. Okay. And your goal is to reassure the customer and resolve their issue efficiently. This is the goal of the role. This is the goal of the persona, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Draft a response to the following customer email. This is the exact same. Okay. Now let's just look at let's just generate a response without any role. Okay. And then let's generate a response with a role. Okay. So yeah. So look at this response without role. Could you please provide a little more detail on why you believe the amount is higher than expected? This sounds almost rude, right? So this will help us investigate the issue more quickly. This is not, a good response. This sounds almost rude. Whereas this is the response with the role attached. I understand your concern. I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. This sounds a bit more professional, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
To ensure accuracy and assist you efficiently, could you please provide me with some additional details? Right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And this will
Yes,
allow
sir.
this tone is improved, right? Remember, the role will have a, when you change your role, this will change the expertise, the tone, and the style of the output text. Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, sir. May I ask?
Is this a question related to what I'm teaching, or is this a general question?
Sir, this is relatable. I want to just ask, sir, how is the role model is different from the personalized model? Like, if I am doing using
Role and
chat,
persona are the same.
yes, sir.
Role and persona are the same. If you look at it, role or
So
persona.
personalized is same as role based.
Personalized is not persona. Persona is the basically the character or the
Okay.
role. Personalized basically means that uh, personalized is not something that you can do with Python coding in this with the prompt engineering. Okay, personalized is that this chat GPT as a whole, no matter the model, will be personalized to you. Gemini as a whole, no matter the model, will be personalized to you. uh, kind of like how your Google search results are personalized according to you, right? Personalization is very, very hard because your output is going to be rendered to, if not thousands of people, at least a few hundred people. Now you will have to maintain a record of those hundreds of thousands of people, right? And personalize your model. That comes into the domain of LLM fine tuning. We are not going to talk about that today. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Personalization of LLMs is really hard to do, and we will talk about that at a later stage. Okay.
So, sir, that's why we are using prompt engineering to
Yeah.
get personalized
No,
results.
not personalized. Personalized is not the right word.
Specific.
Persona based, specific, role based.
Okay.
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 Okay. Okay. So we saw that we get better results with when you add a persona, right? But if you add certain characteristics of the persona as well, it will help you. Because you wrote patient and professional, maybe that is why you're getting this output. And when I shared this notebook with you guys can basically, experiment around with these prompts. Okay. Okay. Then there is something called chain of thought prompting. Yes, I will be sharing this Colab file at the end of the lecture. Okay. There is something called chain of thought prompting. It's basically making the model think out loud. Okay. So uh, instead of it being a blind output, you once you got this output, do you know why we got this output? No, we don't really know why the model spit out exactly these words with this exact tone, with this exact style. Maybe our prompt helped, but that's a maybe. We don't really know, right? In this chain of thought prompting, we are basically asking the model to convert the task into a multi-step reasoning process. Okay. So all you need to do is right? First, think step by step to break down the calculation and explain your reasoning. That's it. So, for example, in this email, the email is this is another new email that I wrote. Hi, I'm looking at my bill for June and it seems wrong. I was charged the full 50 for the pro plan, but I downgraded to the basic plan. Uh, and also, I have a 10% discount code. Can you please calculate the correct amount I should have been charged? Right? Okay. Based on the following email, calculate the final bill. This is the simple standard prompt. It is likely to fail. It may or may not fail in this particular case, but if you run it 100 times, maybe 5 times it will fail. 95 times it will pass, right? But if you ask the LLM to do the calculation step by step, explain your reasoning, and then ask it to basically provide the answer in this particular format, it will work much better. Okay. So standard prompt, it will look like this: pro plan days, right? It will look like this. Okay. But if you talk about the chain of thought prompting, it will explain, calculate the cost for the pro plan used. So Alex used the pro plan for the first 15 days of June. 50% would be this. So this is your cost. Okay. After that, Alex switched to the basic plan for the remaining 15 days. It is literally explaining, right? So it's literally explaining every thought. It is writing down every step. And that is why I call it making the model think out loud. Right? Okay. So this is the final amount. Okay. Please play around with this prompt. You can change this sentence. You can remove this sentence. Please play around with this prompt. Okay. Again, we are just using model.generate to create the output, and to markdown to basically convert the markdown output into slightly more human readable format. You know, bullet points, bold, italics, all of that. Okay. Any doubt till now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay,
No, sir.
No, sir.
good. Thank you.
No, sir.
Then finally, we are reaching towards agents, right? So there's this prompt engineering technique that was invented called React prompting. But before we move ahead, I'll take just 2 minutes and I'll just say that because of this prompt engineering, agentic AI was literally developed. It became so powerful that, you know, agentic AI actually adopted this prompting as default. Okay. So React, the full form of React is, if you see the A is capital, it's reasoning and acting. Just give me a second. I'll just bold this part and bold this part so that you know how React was created. Reasoning and acting, RE of reasoning and acting ka ACT. Okay. So React prompting. So you basically ask the model to think. We have already done that in the chain of thought prompting. Okay. Why is there a T? Sorry, let me just correct this. There was a typo. Please correct me. Then the model takes some sort of action. What that action is, we'll talk about that in a bit. Then it makes an observation on the basis of that action. Okay. Then on the basis of that observation, it provides the final output. Okay. What does that mean? So an action could, we already know what thinking is, right? We just ask it to explain everything step by step. Right? We know what an action, do we know what an action is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So an action can be a search, an action can be another API call, an action can be a function call, an action can be a file, reading a file, an action can be reading a particular database, right? All of these are actions, and these actions will generate some output, and on the basis some intermediate output, not the final output. Okay. It's the let's not call it intermediate output, let's call it results, right? So search results or API result or file opening result. Then you have an observation that this was the result. Okay. And what is the observation? So observation is basically explanation of the result of the action. Okay. And then finally, on the basis of that explanation, you create a output, final output. Okay. It is the fundamental foundation of agentic AI. This is how agents work. Okay. Thought, action, observation, result or output. Okay. So, for example, in the earlier example, where is it? Where is it? Yeah. Yeah. So in this particular example, the customer was giving an invoice number, right? I intentionally did not speak out this invoice number when I was talking about it earlier. But you know what? Will your model not be able to respond better if it knew what this invoice number meant? What did it represent? What was the purchased item? What was the cost of the purchased item, date of the purchased item, things like that? Will the model not be able to do better? Will it do better or worse?
Better, sir.
Right?
Better.
So so over here, I've just created a mock function which looks up the order status. Okay, this is my order ID and this is the status. Your order has been shipped and is expected to arrive by this date. Still writing 2024 and 2025 ending, huh? Okay. So this is my order ID and your order is currently being processed. This is the status. This is my order ID. This is the status. Okay. So think about this. Instead of this function, there will be a database call, right? Your order IDs will not be maintained in a Python dictionary, which is here, right? It will be maintained in a database. Imagine you are able to give the capability to figure out which so imagine you give the capability that the LLM is able to make the decision to call the database on its own, right? But in this React based prompting, okay, uh, let me just showcase. Yeah, in React based prompting, we have to call the function manually. See, we have to call this function manually. In a real agent, there is intelligence built in the agent to identify which action to take and what are the parameters of the action, right? That is the major difference between an agent and a React prompting. Okay. 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 Now let's go through the customer email. Hi, I'm writing to check on the status of my recent order. Order number 12345. Can you let me know where it is? Okay. The prompt I'm going to use is you have access to a tool. The tool is this function call. Okay. Given the user's query, decide if you need to use the tool. Okay. If so, respond with the tool call. If not, respond to the user directly. The user query is this. The thought is this. You can literally add the thought on your own. Okay. This is the action. And then it will give you a prompt. So it will look something like this. Okay. Okay. So then you have given the query, thought, and action to take. Again, in a real agent, all of these are automated. Okay. But in a React prompt engineering mode, you have to manually set it up. Okay. Then you finally have the observation. And for the observation, you have to generate another prompt. This will be a second prompt. Okay. You have performed an action and received an observation. Now formulate the final response. Remember that the observation would yield a final output. Okay. This is my user query. This was the action taken. And this is the observation. Observation is what? What is the observation? Any guesses? The observation is your order has been shipped, and it is expected to arrive on 5th July. Okay. Okay. Then again, you have to explicitly provide the thought yourself. Remember, in an agent, you don't have to provide this thought. Okay. The thought is the tool has returned the order, has been shipped, and provided a delivery date. I should now convey this information clearly and helpfully to the customer. What you will have to do when you're doing React prompt engineering, you might have to create multiple variations of the thought on your own. Okay. Or you might have to create the thought, you might have to call an LLM API to create the thought sentence. Right? Then you ask to provide the final answer. And this is the final answer. Okay. Just 10 more minutes before I talk about the massive prompt unified framework that I talked about. Okay. So there are some safety settings inbuilt in some APIs, such as Gemini is able to give you a harm category or a meanness category, right? And if it identifies that, it will basically say, I cannot fulfill your request. So if you ask it to write a mean and insulting email to a customer who complained, it will say, you will obviously have to import these safety settings. Okay. And but it will say, I cannot fulfill your request. Sending such an email is unprofessional, unethical, and could severely damage things like that. Okay. Then there is something that is called application level guardrail. For example, let's say you're building a healthcare chatbot. Should the healthcare chatbot be able to answer what is the weather today?
No, sir.
Right?
No, sir.
Will it have that information?
No.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No,
No, no.
sir.
It can get
No,
that
sir.
No, no,
information.
no, no.
No, sir.
But it should not give the information.
Right. It should not give that information. So this is called off topic, right? A simple guardrail to check if something is off topic or not. Okay. So for example, uh, is the email about a customer support issue or not? Answer with only yes or no. So what you will have to do is build a separate prompt calling exercise, do a separate prompt, do a separate model calling exercise to check if this is an on topic mail or not. Is this an on topic chat or not? Ideally, what you should be doing is that this checking should be done by a smaller, faster model. Otherwise, what will happen? Your response time will increase. Right? So you will just check again, you have to set the model, create the model, and you have to just generate content. If yes, email is on topic. If no, email is off topic. So for example, uh, just a second. Yeah, sorry. If the guardrail, so you just call this function, okay, and email text, you can pass it over here. For example, the text is, my bill is wrong again. Okay, is this on topic or off topic? On topic or off topic?
Off topic, sir.
On
On topic, right?
on topic.
Topic.
And can you tell me a funny joke about computers?
Off topic.
Off topic.
Topic.
So email is on topic as printed and the response is generated here. Okay. Then returning canned response that I am a support customer assistant. Okay. And can only help with products and services. Okay. That is a canned response is a fixed response. Okay. Okay. So this is some of the guardrails. Now, I have a question like the most important question. Do you guys need to create these prompts on your own?
Yes,
The-
sir.
These are
Yes, sir.
literally massive.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Definitely.
so
Is that so? What what if I'll just showcase something. Okay. So what if I write, help me create a prompt that uses the following framework for summarization of Wikipedia articles. And then I have literally just copy pasted all this content. Okay. So it says that role or persona, context or background information. I've just copy pasted all of this. And then the output structure. And then I have also copy pasted to help the model distinguish between these different components. It is a best practice to use clear delimiters, you know. Okay. Now you can see the LLM again. You can use ChatGPT, you can use DeepSeek, you can use any UI based LLM where you can actually chat. Okay, and you can basically it will generate some sort of it will give you at least a really good starting point. 90% of the work it will do for you, right? You are an expert academic researcher and editor specializing in creating concise, accessible, and neutral encyclopedic entries, distilling complex information from dense sources into a structured and easily digestible summary for educated but non-specialist audience. Again, I don't think I could have created a better role. I couldn't have created a better role. Context, I'm providing you with the full text of a Wikipedia article. My goal is to get a high level yet comprehensive summary that I can start use as a starting point for further research. It's giving a good context as well, right? Analyze the provided article examples. It is also able to give, right? So it's just saying that I need to copy paste the quantum computing full text from the Wikipedia article. It did not get that for me, so I have to go and get it. Okay. And then the output examples, key takeaway, core concepts. Okay. Historical context and development. All of this is the output example. Okay. Then what are the constraints? The word count should be this much. Source fidelity. Again, some complex language. Exclusively base the summary exclusively on the provided text. Don't use outside information. Okay. Do not copy sentences directly from the source article. These are good constraints, man. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just share this notebook. Let me just try to share this notebook with you. I have put in the, I'll just share my screen again. I have put in the public facing Gemini chat link at the bottom, at the absolute bottom. Okay. So you can go through this as well. You can continue that chat, but I don't know if you will be able to because I use my Pro Access. I am a paying customer. Maybe you might need to continue it as a new chat. Okay.
Sir, where we have to practice, sir? Yes.
I'm sharing this Google Colab notebook. Na? Why not share this, work on this?
Yeah, okay, sir. Yeah.
You can run this code. You just need to set your API key, right? Okay.
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So I'm just deleting my API key. And again, I'll just share my screen. All you need to do is click on this key icon click over here and import key from Google AI Studio, and it will basically showcase what are the keys that you have. Okay, if you don't have a key, it will ask you to create. Okay,
Okay, sir.
and then you can literally press Shift Enter, okay, to run this. But it will need to reconnect. So I'll just need to run all, and you can play around with this, but I'll just clear the output because then I'll have to. There's no clear output. Okay, but I will have to now put back the API key that I deleted. But I hope you guys can play around with this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Good session. We
Yes, sir.
learned a lot.
Yes, sir, it was a great session.
Okay.
Thank you. I hope I simplified things for you.
Yes, sir.
It was the main
Yes,
goal
sir.
of this session for me.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. And please, I'll just say one thing. There's this quote that I like from the founder of NVIDIA, uh, that your job is not in danger because of AI, but your job is in danger because of somebody who uses AI. The last trick I gave you, right? Creation of prompt. There's not many humans that can create such a good prompt. I cannot. I know I cannot. Right? Why can we not use AI? Many people will feel that that feels like cheating, but it's okay. If you can get ahead in your career, cheat. Okay. If that is what you think of as cheating, it's okay to cheat. It's not, just FYI, because that is how you will get ahead in your career, right?
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. That
Yes,
was
sir.
great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, बढ़िया था, sir.
Thank
Sir,
you.
can you say
Thank
your
you,
chat?
sir.